So a very good day, everyone, and welcome on our session about EUC market trends and predictions out of 1,600 participants of the VDI Like a Pro survey of 2021. So I'm very happy to be your presenter today together with Ruben. And before we explain who we are and what we do for this survey, I want to set one expectation for you, and that's that you are becoming an expert in the EUC space because the survey results that we will share with you will be very valuable for your IT career and for your insights moving forward. So let's introduce ourselves real quick here. So I'm Christian Brinkhoff, as I said earlier. I work for Microsoft, and I have been one of the leaders of the VDI Like a Pro survey for like the last three years or so, together with Mark Plattenberg as well, which couldn't make it in this session, but you will see him around during this event. And as well, of course, Ruben. So Ruben, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. I'm the third Dutch guy here. Thanks for joining. Indeed, I work at Nutanix as technologist, and also with Christian and Mark, we are all passionate about end user computing, and more than happy to share insights like the survey data, but also a personal touch and a personal point of view, which we'll share at the end of this session.
Yeah, exactly. And as I emphasized in the beginning of this presentation, over 1,600, about like almost 1,700 participants filled in this survey, which is kind of amazing and exceeded all expectations. What we have seen over the last years, this like over doubled like the number that we have been seeing in the past. And we think it's a little bit related to COVID, remote working and such as well. But just want to emphasize and again say as well a huge thank you for supporting this survey, and it has been great fun as well to be part of the leadership and really like reflecting passion to community and share insights that we have and bring that into questions and help you as part of the community as well to extend your visibility into what the market is doing today. And that's exactly what we will present to you in the next like 25 minutes or so. So here you can see that 60 countries have been participating into this survey, and all the blue sections are the countries that participated. So just to give you some insights, America is the #1 in the participant number, and the Netherlands second. So I should probably remember America first, Netherlands second. It's still the case in the survey as well. And I actually can share some personal stories here as well. I moved like 3 months back to the US, so I can now say I'm in the #1 bucket of the participants as part of the country as well over here. So you can see that over here in the list. So America raised up over last year to this year with the participants a lot, but still is #1, and Netherlands still is #2. Small decline in the number there, and then UK and Germany are the runner-up, and then the other like 56 countries are coming after. So you can check out the survey, which we will share later on as well, to see more on those specific insights as well. Yeah. So let's start with the first question, Ruben.
Yeah, well, like everyone listening to and attending this event, we are all in the end user computing space, and I would say this is maybe one of the most important questions. So why are we here? Well, because we're here to we all work in the work from home industry. Maybe that's how we want to call it these days. And applications are a fundamental part of the modern workspace, including Windows applications. So this question is all about, hey, what is the application landscape? How is the ratio of mobile apps, web applications, and Windows applications? And this question we asked for many years, and you can still see that Windows applications are a fundamental part of the modern workspace. And as we all know, with virtual applications and desktops, with VDI, with DAS, with the different vendors in our space, these solutions do really help in delivering these classic Windows applications to everyone. So yeah, that's why we are here, because Windows applications are fundamental and are part of the modern workspace and are here to stay for many, many, many years. Why? Because all the easy Windows apps are already migrated to SaaS and mobile, and we are stuck, between quotes, with the complex Windows application for a long time. Welcome to the real world. Another question we asked for many years, I think we started in 2015, is the question: what is your top 3 topics on workspace planning or workspace initiatives for next year, upcoming year? So we ask this question every year, and when you look at the results of this year, desktop as a service is the highest score on desktop as a service, followed by Microsoft Office 365, and third place is IT self-service. IT self-service can mean different things to different people, but just look at it from like DevOps perspective, automation perspective, store, self-service, easy to consume. That would be my translation of IT self-service. So DaaS, Office 365, and look at COVID, look at Teams, look at Zoom, like these type of solutions. But for sure, Office 365 is like also fundamental in the modern workspace. Let's dive into another question, Christian.
Yeah, thanks, Ruben. And this is an interesting one as well, and a new one as well that we brought into the survey, where we see the trend moving to DaaS and more like cloud-orientated desktops. We wanted to as well get some visibility and how much are you willing to pay for your desktop as a service environment, meaning your control plane as well as the IaaS section, the compute, the virtual machines in the cloud as well. And here you see the results of that question coming from like $1 to even like 101 or even 500 plus. And the blue one is representing regular users, and the green one more workstation GPU enhanced workloads. So I don't go over them all here because it's a lot. So I summarized them and qualified them in 2 buckets on an average. And because we are talking in euros, because the vast majority of this event will participate from Europe, we did it in euros and not in dollars. So the typical desktop, the price customers are willing to pay for that is 39 euros. And the GPU workstation enabled version of that, so the more powerful enhanced desktop running in the cloud, is 92 euros. I just want to remark here that this is a price that they are willing to pay. It doesn't reflect any actual numbers. So it will be an interesting question to bring back in the 2022 survey, where we ask the question, how much are you paying for your desktop? So you can reflect and make correlations between those 2 numbers as well. So another great question is, what are today's biggest challenges with your on-premises virtual application and desktops environment? Meaning you're using VDI on-prem and you're facing some challenges. So what are the main challenges you're currently facing in 2021 and perhaps before that year as well? So here you see the results of that, and with the shift to more remote working, we saw a trend more moving forward to unified communications. So you see the number 1 here is a user experience performance with voice, webcam, VoIP, and conference calls. So that's really reflecting the need for more conference. You see unified communication services as part of your virtual apps and desktops environment. So there's an interesting reflection of that movement. Second one is the density of a multi-session operating system, meaning get as much as users on that virtual machine to trim the cost. It's a challenge as well. And just the third one is the cost reduction, basically a little bit related to the second point there. So cost reduction to align with design and such perhaps is the third one, together with security as well. Security and overall cost reduction is pretty much close to the same, or is the same number as I can see here. So they share the third position here. So let's jump over to the cloud here, Ruben.
Yeah. So same question, different theme, like from on-prem in this case to public cloud. So what are the biggest challenges in using or adopting public cloud? Well, yeah, you can see here, but this is great info actually. But what I do like about like our community is that it's also great to look back and relate to other years. So this question is also asked in the past. And the 4 biggest challenges in adopting public cloud for desktop as a service are creating a positive, effective business case. And you can see that's like increasing big time compared to 2020. Performance of the solution, and performance can of course mean different things. Could be like raw performance, could be perceived performance. That's a different conversation, but that's also like increased big time from 2020, from 9% in 2020 to 15% in 2021. Legal and regulation is, I would say, less of a concern compared to 2020. And knowledge of cloud services, so people with skills like yourself, like ourselves, is more of a concern, 8.3% in 2020. And yeah, it's maybe related to the speed of new services, maybe this related to a pandemic, COVID, and the sort of push to cloud services, and like everyone roll up the sleeve and get hands-on. Or maybe they are just more cloud services and more complex cloud services. So not sure why this is like more often of a concern, but yeah, this is what 1,647 people filled in the survey. So another question is, where are the workload machines hosted, virtual apps and desktops, or single user, multi-user? We don't differentiate yet on that topic when we talk about virtual apps and desktops. You can see the results here. Hybrid increase from close to 30% in 2020 to close to 45% in 2021. On-prem only declining from 58% in 2020 to 40% in 2021. And public cloud only, so workload machines in Azure, Amazon, Google, as in the example, increased from close to 12% to more than 16%, close to 16% in 2021. So what you can see here is like hybrid is the biggest part, public cloud increasing, on-prem only decreasing. That's like the simple summary of that.
So let's switch over to like the core element of a virtual desktop or DAS environment, which is of course the operating system, where all those Windows applications that Ruben was explaining are landing on and launching from, of course. So an interesting question that we every year ask again, with of course the changes in operating systems that are happening along the way, is what single and multi-user operating system are you using as part of your virtual apps and desktop environment, as well as in the context of desktop as a service, your desktop running in the cloud? So on the left side, you see the results of single session, and on the right side, multi-session. So you see what kind of operating system for single session and multi-session are being used. I'm not going over them all together, but just highlight some examples here. Is that Windows 10 1903 and 1909 is the #1 operating system build being used. You probably move right now to perhaps 2004, 20H2, or maybe a newer one, or maybe Windows 11 in the future. Windows 11 wasn't part of this survey yet, so we couldn't like bring that into the survey. So that will be something you will see next year coming in. So interesting results there. Even XP and Windows 7 and all those old operating systems are still the case for some businesses. On the right side, you see a multi-session. And then Windows Server 2016 is the #1 operating system being used. But we see a huge uplift in Windows Server 2019 and Windows 10 Enterprise multi-session as well for Azure Virtual Desktop. You will see more WVD or Windows Virtual Desktop called out in the survey. And that's, of course, renamed to Azure Virtual Desktop in July this calendar year. So interesting numbers, and would be interesting to see how many customers will move to Windows Server 2021 next year, or perhaps move to a single session operating system. So yeah, looking forward to see those results coming in next year as well from you guys. So
it's great to talk about the OS, which is like a foundation, of course, but like OS without apps, yeah, that doesn't mean anything, right? So we talked about apps. Windows apps are relevant, but also like question is, how do you like manage, install both OS and applications on that platform? You can see that like 26% is still doing OS app updates in the main, like in the base image, in the master machine, in the template VM. Give it a name, whatever it is, but like in the main, like manual action, that's what it means. Also interesting that a lot of people who fill in the survey and supported the survey are using SCCM, different names, but Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager, just call it Config Manager or SCCM. Everyone knows what it is. Very large customer base, and what I do see in the field, and you can also see that slowly reflecting here, is that modern management, and Intune is an example in that more customers are asking for modern endpoint management, managing mobile devices, but also managing modern devices in the data center context, so that Intune and other solutions are being used more often. And that's a good thing. It's good to have options when you have a modern OS, mobile devices, and VDI in theirs. You can use modern platforms to manage that.
Yeah, so just to elaborate on that too, is that like the consolidation of different solutions is something I see customers asking for as well. So that number 26, like doing everything in the base image, is kind of interesting to see that a lot of businesses are still doing that while there are tools to simplify that as well. So let's see how that looks next year, of course. So let's change to the next question. Which virtual apps or virtual desktop as a service solution are you using or will you introduce to use? Meaning that like I'm using an on-prem technology and I'm looking forward to move my VDI environment to the cloud, and what kind of solutions that I'm looking at and interested and willing to use as well to start to kick the tires on. So all the numbers or all the products that you see here are reflecting from like April 2021. So all the new announcements around like Windows 365 and such are not included in this. But what you see here is that the number one is Microsoft Windows Virtual Desktop, meaning Microsoft Azure Virtual Desktop, with the rename, of course, in the back of your head incorporated. The second one is Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops with like the AVD benefit partnership, meaning that Citrix Cloud is being used on Azure with the Azure Virtual Desktop benefits, such as Windows 10 multi-session. And the third one is without those benefits with Citrix Cloud. So that is the top three that you can see here. That is currently like the top three, what businesses are looking at. And then you have as well Fort, Nutanix Frame. Other is just like a very broad set of products, and then all the other products will fit in that category underneath that as well. So if you're looking forward to learn more about those insights, wait for the end of this session where we will share the full survey with you as well. So one quick one to mention here as well is a new question around the protocol. So we asked the question, which remoting protocol configuration do you primarily use for your virtual apps and desktop solution? So what is like the primary protocol you use on top of your VDI, but as well your desktop as a service, desktops in the cloud environment? And here you see that Citrix is still the number one, combined with VDI on-prem and as well in the cloud, but we didn't distinguish between on-prem and as well the cloud. So perhaps that would look a little bit different. Maybe we will do that next year to like reflect those numbers more accurate per specific scenario. Then you see Microsoft RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol, as the second one. And then as the third one, another Citrix enhancement on top of HDX. And then after that, we see VMware as well as the Microsoft shortcut version of RDP. So interesting numbers. Most likely the protocol comes with the solution, but sometimes you can configure different kind of solution or different kind of setups for the protocol per solution. And therefore we think this is a very interesting question to ask.
Hey, Christian, so before you jump into this one, what I do like about what you mentioned, there's a lot of opportunity to add new questions and to change questions in the in this survey. So when we build a new survey next year, upcoming year, you could say, feel free to reach out to like all three of us, or like Mark, Christian, or myself, if you have ideas about questions and just feedback about the survey. So happy to listen and discuss with the three of us what new questions should be added to upcoming year.
Yeah, and I personally think that's the powerful thing of this survey, that you are basically in charge of what we bring into the survey. And we every year before the survey opens up, like in January, February, we request for sort of a call out to action to get more questions in.
I also would say, like the geeks in us, like the technologists in us, we want to have a survey with like 150 questions, but no one will fill in that survey. So it's also finding the balance between, okay, how many questions can be added without spending 30 minutes on the survey, because on average I think the average number is 11 minutes or so time spent on the survey, which is still like 10-11 minutes, but it's decent when you look at the amount of data you get from the survey results. Alrighty, let's go.
Exactly, and it's like, as you said, it's community orientated, but we want to give sometimes as well our perspective on the survey and as well our daily job and what we see happening in the community at customers and such. So we thought like, let's bring in a section in this presentation where we, myself and Ruben, share their like EUC developments and personal point of view on what the market is doing and where it's going to and such. So just to give you some some insights from us as well to reflect those numbers as well as what we are seeing and if it's like in a match as well. So let's start with my point of view first, and then Ruben will show his as well. So what I see in the market happening is that, as I said earlier, like simplicity is key, and moving to a solution where you can consolidate everything and remove complexity that you have been experienced from like on-prem environments for a long time, consolidating that and making that more cloud orientated, while the Windows operating system becomes more cloud orientated as well. That is what I think where we like move to in the direction to more hybrid remote work and work from like any place, anywhere. That doesn't sound new to you, but I think that will become more mainstream for businesses that haven't been looking at like VDI or something in the past, but now they have to, because the way how we work is changing. So Windows will adopt that as well. And you will see like with Windows 11 and things like that, you will see things more happening to like having a connection to the cloud and being more cloud orientated. And as I said earlier, simplicity is key. So think about like your processes, things that you did in the past will become easier moving forward. And the Windows operating system will become a core part of that as well. So more and more features and things will be integrated inside Windows, and that will make it easier for you as a business to adopt those things for remote working and things that are related to a desktop virtualization technology. So just one extra thing before I hand it over to Ruben. Security is key. More and more attacks are happening, ransomware, you name it. It's like very easy to get like an intruder in when you don't have like the security like in place at a certain level. So seeing like the shift to like Windows 11 with TPM, secure boot and such, that's like one thing that like will be enforced in the operating system to make like virtual desktop environment more secure, but as well the enablement of just other security elements like MFA, passwordless authentication becomes more and more mainstream and easier for consumers to enable. And I don't know if you saw something fun that happened like last week. Is that the Jimmy Fallon late night show showed like the new passwordless authentication that happened as part of Microsoft that is now as well possible to do for Microsoft accounts pretty easily. And they did some fun things around like secondary authentication. Okay, I open my email, then I need to open that one and that one and that one. That maybe perhaps becomes a little bit more annoying on your phone, but the ways how you access your environment and the like part of remembering your password is moving away, and consolidating that desktop environment becomes more secure moving forward, because the security layers, enabling the security layers to make it more secure becomes more simpler than ever before. So Ruben, take it away.
Yeah, I would say, first of all, like end user computing is exciting. We are in the work from X or the work from home industry. Look at apps, look at devices, look at services, look at unified communications, look at identity, look at digital identity, look at privacy, look at security, as Christian mentioned, sometimes the lack of cyber hygiene. What else? Game streaming as a service, GPUs, bots, algorithms. Like all these items I just sort of mentioned in almost one stroke is exciting, is also end user computing. What I do see happening is that software becomes service. In the early days, including myself, we are knowledgeable to set up Microsoft Exchange. Nowadays, that still happens, but mostly it's like Google Apps or Microsoft 365, so from software to service. And that's what I see happening with VDI. And VDI can mean different things to different people, for sure. But in my context, VDI, what I mean with VDI is software. People with skills, ninjas, like yourself, who can design, implement, support, maintain, upgrade a software platform. And I do see an and transition from software to service also in this part of the EUC space, from VDI to desktop as a service. What I also see is that from cloud first to cloud smart, yes, there is different reasons, a huge push to public cloud, cloud first, public cloud. But I also see customers like finding the right balance, where to run the workloads. So I need to run the workloads on-prem, is it I need to run the workloads in public cloud? Well, it depends on the use case, it depends on different reasons, right? And what I believe is that cloud smart is a much better approach. It means flexibility, use the right tools, the same tools, both in public and in an on-prem environment and public cloud, using the people with skills to master and manage these both environments, so that you can control cost and availability and location from a legal perspective, but also location from a performance and where's my data perspective. So that's what I mean with cloud smart. Also, I mean, when you look at virtual apps and desktops in 2020 and beyond, what I do see happening is that VDI, single user and multi-user, is like plateau reached, slowly declining, while server-based computing and single user in a DaaS environment is increasing big time. And that's what I see happening. I do see happening what I also see happening is that customers have more focus on the application side instead of the full desktop side. So they just want to run a handful of apps running as virtual app and desktop solution, and just present these apps into their own physical, like Win 11 or Chromebook or whatever type of device. And I would say, look at GPUs in cloud. It's great to have options, but it's also important, and it applies to storage as well, to understand the details, what works, what doesn't work, what is available, what is not available. There's too much detail for now to cover. More than happy to talk about that, but look at the details and not only like high level, 30,000 feet, 10,000 kilometer type of point of view, but also look at details and understand these details. And finally, shortage of components, not only impacting cars and consumer electronics, but also impacting us in the EUC space, right? With like maybe with like chips on a GPU board, or like CPUs or RAM or SSD, like these type of items are also sometimes in shortage and impacting like the availability on-prem and public cloud as well. So we'll see how that goes next couple of quarters, next year. Alrighty, so already mentioned, and Christian mentioned it as well, like you can download the survey, scan the QR code here, go to the website. Survey is free, just fill in your details so that we can reach out next year and ask you questions if you want to participate in this survey, so that you can fill in the survey and that we can learn all from that. If you have ideas about new questions, feel free to reach out to us again so that we can evaluate these requests. And I would say with that, big thanks. Thanks for listening, watching, and see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, guys.